The Chancellor's autumn statement is always an interesting point in the political year, and I think never so much as it is this year, because of course we've got the general election coming next May. So for this Parliament anyway, it's the last time that George Osborne's going to be able to speak on this bill in this particular context, so some interesting stuff. The key thing I think for us as far as house building goes is the tremendous drive-by appeal of reducing stamp duty. What does this do for house building? Well, it's an interesting one, because the immediate thought is that maybe it will cost less to buy a house than it did previously because stamp duty's come down. I think that remains to be seen, and it all hinges on two key things. The first is people's the simple, or relatively simple piece, which is around affordability. If you couldn't afford to buy a house before, you're unlikely to be able to afford to buy one now, because the differences created by stamp duty at the lower level are not that great, in fairness. Helpful, but not huge. The other thing is about the price of houses themselves, and there is discussion which suggests that the elimination of the bandings, particularly around the $500,000 mark, which may not be first time buyer territory, will actually lead to an increase in house prices. But if they increase at the higher levels, they're quite likely to increase lower down the scale as well. So I think the economists will no doubt get to work on this and give us some interesting material. But I think it remains to be seen how especially first-time buyers will respond to this. What we all hope, of course, is that it will stimulate house building at the first-time buyer entry level and encourage people to go out there and start buying houses, because that's the beginning of the house buying cycle. So maybe 2.5 cheers out of 3 for the Chancellor, but interesting to see what subsequently the Tory manifesto goes on to say on the subject. The ability of the industry to deliver the number of houses that are believed to be required, so this is where we're talking about 200,000 a year, is questionable in my view. The last time we actually built that number of houses is some time ago, and the recent recession has had a direct and impactive effect on the ability of the house building industry to deliver. There's no doubt about that. Things are recovering now, but with the upturn comes the reverse of all the problems we had in the downturn, and one of those is to do with the skill shortage that's possibly out there. Everyone in the economy, irrespective of whether they're in construction or not, is keen to employ bright, able people, be that academically bright or be that technically adept. This is something which we're going to have to face full on, and the construction industry needs to seriously get together in this regard. To be attracting bright youngsters into the industry, we need to be explaining to them the diversity of subject matter that's contained within the construction industry, everything from engineering to project management to brickies to plumbers and so on, and encouraging them to think how their skills can be best applied. Unless we do this, we're going to find that we're well behind the pace, and that 200,000 homes is not only going to be aspirational, it may well be absolutely unachievable. One of the ways of encouraging homes to be built more quickly is, of course, to think about the processes involved in actually building a house. This is an interesting situation for house builders because the pressure to utilise off-site building has been becoming quite active over the past few years, and there's office blocks in London today which are over 80% built off-site. So off-site building has a possibility, there's possibility there, but there's also modern methods of construction which enable not only a quicker build time but a more efficient home once the property is actually built. The key is, once again, ensuring that the skill set available to house builders is relevant to the kind of property they want to build. And again, we as an industry need to be thinking carefully how we train people who come in to actually build homes to deliver the kind of things that we want. So it's not only about the number of people we need, it's about the skills they have as well. BSRIA can do a great deal to help both the industry and its members. We have a number of networks which encourage members to come and think well outside the box on lots of subjects. One of our big networks is the residential network, which is incredibly well supported. This encourages members to do exactly that and to bounce ideas off each other. We also do a lot of airtightness testing in our compliance division. This is key not only for the builders, the house builders that benefit from that particular scheme, but also more generally that it's focused very much at the client and encourages people to think about how carbon compliant, how airtight their home might be. A key issue given the price of energy and what we're expecting to happen on energy prices going forward. Those are all big issues for homeowners and for builders alike. We also are keen to see the development of the competent persons scheme connected to airtightness. This, I think, is a really useful step forward in the portfolio of quality standards which both BSRIA and the other people involved in this sector of the industry want to see happen. We want to make sure our clients get the very best of service, and the competent person scheme will help us do that. But it's not just about house building and about how we can raise standards. It's also about being truly innovative. And in that theme, we're going to start an innovation network in the new year, so 2015. New year, new network. And it's going to be all about the new things that are coming into the industry and thinking about all the things that we haven't thought of yet. So very creative, very exciting, and we hope members and others will take a really active and energised part in that.